Imagine building a robot hand that doesn't just move, it outsmarts you. The amazing hand kit from Seed Studios uses Hugging Face's open source 3D printed robotic hand framework in order to allow 8 degrees of freedom, letting each finger curl and move almost like a real hand. And you can customize it however you like with 3D printed parts and electronics. What's really exciting is this isn't just a static display model. I'm going to build it, wire it up, and teach it to play rock, paper, scissors against me. And spoiler alert, it's going to be really hard to beat. It's lightweight, adaptable, fully documented, and perfect for learning how servos, sensors, and software all come together in one clever little package. I can't wait to see it in action, so let's take a look. One of the things I really like about these kits is they're really easy to get started with. You can follow the instructions, use the guide, and get yourself something that works really quickly, and then start adding things yourself. If you do want to push a project like this further, whether that's creating your own PCBs or custom electronics, that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in, Flux.ai. Flux is an AI-powered PCB design tool that makes creating custom circuits way more approachable. Instead of wrestling with complicated design software, you can work in a clean, browser-based environment, collaborate in real time, and even use an AI assistant to help generate and refine your schematics. So if you're thinking about upgrading a project like this with your own custom board, whether it's to manage the servos more cleanly or add extra sensors, Flux makes it much easier to go from idea to working design. Take a look at the link in the description to get started. And thanks to Flux.ai for sponsoring the video. So this is the kit unpacked, and you can see there's quite a few of the black 3D printed parts. Now you can print it yourself. I would say for this build it's probably easier to buy the parts from somewhere like Seed Studios, because some of these parts are going to be quite difficult to print depending on the configuration of your printer. You can see, for example, here we have the proximal and distal, the finger ends and casing, if you like. And they're quite thin, they're quite flexible, they need to be able to print with exactly the right parameters. So this is the kind of thing where it really excels in using a printing service. So you can see we have some smaller components which effectively create the joints of the finger, the bones on the inside, if you like. Then we have the hand casing at the back there, front and back. And then finally the mount for all of the fingers to go together in one, and a base. Let's take a look at what it takes to build a finger. Now the instructions that we're following from Seed Studios seem to be the Hugging Face guide, and some of these parts are a little bit different. So for example, there is a bar in the guide that it says you need to cut to size, but actually these parts are already pre-cut, which makes things a lot easier for us. The kit also comes with this guide to allow the connection rods between the servos and the components to be exactly the same length. Now in my case I found that it was difficult to work with, so instead what I did was screw them all together as tight as I could and then back it off a quarter turn so that it was aligned in the orientation that I needed. That seemed to work quite well for me, and I didn't really have too many issues, so I didn't find that I needed this tool. So first I'm going to create the connection rods. I'm going to use the M2 ball joints, of which you need 2 per rod, the M2 threaded rod, 18 millimeters long, and then this small spacer that they include as well. And all I'm going to do is just hold one end with the pair of pliers and then screw the ball joint in, probably to about halfway. Then I'm going to attach the spacer and then the other end and just keep screwing until it's as tight as it'll go. You can see the orientation of the end points is quarter of a turn out, and that's because it needs to be in order for it to align. Let's do the other one and then we'll move on to something else. So next I'm going to take the proximal and distal joints and I'm going to connect them with the hole that they have already in the 3D print with a 10 millimeter rod. Now what I found was interesting with this was that if you forced it, you had risk of splitting the 3D print. So I decided to make it so that I would screw through one of the parts completely so that there was some free movement. And then also, in order to make it a little bit easier just to get the rod through, I took a tiny bit off the entrance to the other part. Then I just used a pair of pliers to gradually ease it into position. And you can see that it moves quite freely. Once you squeeze it all the way through, the rod shouldn't really be fully visible from either side. Next, we're going to take what they call a gimbal and do exactly the same thing with that. Now again, I'm being very careful not to split the 3D print. And of course, the layer lines are quite vulnerable in most of these things. So I'm going to screw through both of these very fragile, thin areas, which should allow the rod to go through without causing any damage. That should all move quite freely once you have them in place, but shouldn't be falling out, of course. The final part is this larger piece, and again we're going to do the same thing where we're going to drill through and then connect two of the larger rods, the 16mm rods, in order to complete the connection. So you can see how pulling on that gimbal at the bottom moves the finger at the top, and that's going to come into play later when we connect it to the servos. Now it's time to put the casing on the end of the finger itself, and you can see that there's a screw and then a screw hole within the structure in order to attach them both. So we're using the 2.5 by 6mm screws that are included in the kit. You can do the same for the finger end case, and then we can move on. The serial bus servos connect to this finger frame, and that allows us to build a solid mechanism that drives the movement of the finger from the servos. So again, we're taking existing screws from the kit, in this case the 2x7 screws, which are actually the ones that are included with the servos themselves, and then attaching them to both ends of this finger frame. Next, we attach the two bushings, which just allow for some smooth movement when the finger is put in place, and that is secured with a 2.5 by 8 screw. So you can see how that allows us to move the finger from side to side depending on which of the servos is moving. Next, we're going to take the servo arm and just drill through that first hole to widen it so that we can get one of the screws through. Next, we're going to take our M2 by 10 screw, a nut, and then we're going to feed the screw through the rod assembly into the servo arm and then close it all off and tighten it with the M2 nut. Once you've done that on both sides, you can get this long M2 bolt and screw it through the assembly at the bottom of the gimbal. You can see that I have one of the rod assemblies on the bolt before I start screwing. That's going to attach to the right hand side. And then once I've screwed it through, I'm going to attach the other rod assembly and then finish it all off with the M2 nut. Now you could attach the servo arm to the servos. I'm not going to do that yet, and that's because what I want to do first is calibrate the servos individually. You can see now I've done that same process 4 times. All of the fingers and thumb are identical, so we can start mounting them to the hand. This is fairly self-explanatory, but I'm already a little bit concerned about how close the servo arms are to the other servo arms. Even with those ends cut off, which it does suggest that you do, I think we're potentially going to have problems. But let's get them screwed into the back and then we'll see how it looks. The thumb is connected to a separate piece, which you can see here. A little bit fiddly to get that connected, but in the end, it worked out all right. And that's just secured to the hand with more of those 2.5 by 8 screws that we've been using all over the place at this point. Now I really wanted to see how these front and back panels attach, but I'll be honest, I wasn't planning on using them in my build. First glance, it seems as though they were probably supposed to be slightly more flexible, maybe printed with a flexible material. And as I tried to get this one in place, I noticed that one of the screw holes at the bottom had actually cracked because of the strain of trying to get it over the thumb and then over the base in a way that it really didn't want to move. Now that's probably something, if you take your time, you can get that kind of working. For me, it wasn't too much of a problem because it wasn't something that I was planning on including in the actual build. The back of the hand is much more easy to work with, and you can see here how you can just slot it in place and then secure it with more of those screws. The pedestal is very sturdy and it has an opening on the top and it's hollow on the inside, so it allows you to be able to pass any of the wires from the servos to the controller if you want to put it inside that pedestal. Now connecting the serial bus servos is actually really straightforward. You have this controller module and it comes with a power unit as well. Then you connect the supplied connectors from the servos to the unit, and as the name implies, you can do this in serial. So these little connector blocks that you can see with 3 connections are used on every single servo, and then you effectively chain them together with the other spare connectors that come. So the first real step in getting this all integrated is to connect all of these servos individually to your laptop via the controller and set unique IDs. So the reason why you need to do that with these where you don't with hobby servos is because with serial bus servos, the ID is critical to understand which servo is which. That means it can be then connected in any order and even in a chain in a serial bus, and the software will be able to reference each one individually. So by default, each servo has an ID of 1. I actually have software as part of my bipedal robot framework that allows me to change that ID quite quickly. But there's also software provided by the manufacturer in order to allow you to change that yourself. So feel free to use whatever is easiest for you. So the key thing is you must connect each one individually with no other servos connected so that it understands which one you're trying to set the ID on. And then once you've done that, it's as simple as connecting all of them together using the connector blocks provided. You can then run the Python test scripts from the Hugging Face GitHub repository. One of the other things you need to do is calibrate them, and that's why I didn't attach the servo arms to the servos initially. There are 2 different ways you can do this. You can either calibrate the middle position, or what I did was use the script that they have to allow the finger to open and close, and I stopped it at the closed position, attached the servo arms to the servos, and then ran it again. And you can see that that allows me to work quite effectively in terms of understanding the range of motion. That allowed me to ensure that the servos weren't going to overextend the finger because I knew the range that one position was going to be in. But feel free to follow the guide if you're unsure. So they're all set up now with the right IDs, and I've also trimmed those servo arms where they might conflict with the other ones. I can see that it's really close, but let's just start it up and see how things go. So as you can see, that worked a lot easier than I expected it to. I was really pleased with that. I wanted to take this a step further. Now, the idea that I had initially when I first was told I was going to be receiving one of these was to be able to play some sort of game with it. Now, the hand is connected to the laptop and the laptop has a camera. I thought, what about some sort of interaction that I could do with this device? And so I started working on a script in order to create a rock, paper, scissors game that I could play against the hand. The way that it would work would be the camera would recognize my hand position, understand based on my finger position whether I was playing rock, paper, or scissors, and then have the hand react and try to beat me in the game. And as it turned out, this was really straightforward because the camera is constantly scanning and predicting your hand positions and therefore predicting which move you're going to play. So as soon as you display your hand to the camera, the robot hand can react pretty much instantly and beat more or less any move that you play. So obviously the fun with this would be, it would have some sort of randomization so that it doesn't always get it right. But I'll show you what I have just to see how well this has gone. Great, so you can see that it's asking me to show my hand to play. It's going to wait until I get to the point where I can do that. So let's try rock as our first example. You can see the hand recognition is showing it understands that I'm trying to draw rock, and almost as quickly it responds with paper. Once I take my hand away, it starts the countdown, ready for the next game. Let's try scissors. Beats me with rock. Let's try paper. Immediately responds with scissors. Change it to rock. Change it to scissors. Change it to paper. It is, in fact, unbeatable. Let's try changing from rock to scissors in the middle of the draw. So there you go. So overall, this kit worked really well. I really enjoyed the construction of the kit. I think it is a little bit more advanced than some of the other ones that I've been sent in the past. I definitely don't think it's the kind of thing that you want to start with if you're a complete beginner, but actually, realistically, it's not a difficult thing to work through. Follow the guide, follow the steps, take it a finger at a time and a joint at a time, and you'll soon have it assembled. And the beauty of it is that it's so easy to control because of the serial bus servos that there are a lot of possibilities for what you can do with this yourself. That issue with the spacing between the servos and the fingers didn't end up being a problem as I expected it to. It appears that it can cope and compensate with that. I expect that's to do with the fact that the servos are slightly smarter than hobby servos, and it allows them to understand when they're under too much torque and maybe just compensate for that and wait until that position becomes available to move into. I do think it's a good kit to get started with. I think if it's something that you're interested in trying out, then feel free to use the link in the description to get one for yourself. I've also made the rock, paper, scissors game open source and included it in a fork of my repository based on the amazing hand from Hugging Face. So if you'd like to use that, it's as simple as running the installer to get the dependencies and then testing it out for yourself once your hand is assembled. If there's anything you'd like to see me do with the amazing hand, then feel free to leave a comment in the description or join our Discord group. Thanks for watching.